With that, I recognize myself for 5 minutes. And we'll start on a topic you just mentioned with a colleague from the other side of the aisle. You talked about sea levels and islands and stuff like that. Yeah. How much has the sea level risen in the last 50 years?
Congressman, where are you talking about? Like
you talk about sea levels and islands and the threat of climate change. How much has the sea level raised in the last 50 years?
You know, and I'm
approximately.
No, I understand. I'm not a geographical engineer.
Okay, but you brought it up, so I'm just asking you questions.
So
if you don't know, just say I don't know.
Well, I don't know particularly, but I have.
Okay, that's okay.
I've been to those islands, and many of the areas that were.
Have you ever read the book Unsettled by Coonan?
Before are now.
Excuse me, I reclaim my time. Have you ever read the book Unsettled by Coonan?
What book?
Unsettled.
I don't think I've read it.
It's a scientific book written by a Democrat physicist who is on the climate change board for Obama. There's not too many other books written about it, so I suggest when you talk about climate change that we're all educated on the topic. I get tired of people saying we need to recognize, of course we recognize there's climate change. The question is, what is the science behind that? And I want to address it specifically because I'm tired of people using it as a weapon to justify bad spending. I want to have scientific explanations. I want to have a real conversation, not a religion, but a scientific conversation. Has the carbon dioxide level ever been higher in Earth than it is right now?
I'm saying.
Has the carbon dioxide level ever been higher in the Earth's atmosphere than it is now?
I'm sure there are periods.
It has. Okay. Has the sea level ever been higher than it is right now?
Yes.
Of course it has. Way higher. Have we had climate change in the past? Of course we have. Is it on a 100,000 or a 40,000 year cycle? Of course it is. Rapid heating with slow cooling. Are we accelerating the process? Probably. Do you know how much if we cut all of our carbon emissions in America from all of our vehicles, all of our ships, all of our planes, all of our trains, tomorrow, how much would it change the sea levels in the next 50 years, 100 years? Do you have any idea? Of course you don't. It's unsettled because it would make up the difference of 0.000167% of the atmosphere. It's negligible. Let's have a real scientific conversation to begin with. That's what I just want to have. I just want to have a scientific conversation instead of this idea that we, the United States, are the evil empire that's polluting this earth and making the climate change when there's other planets in this solar system that are having exactly the same heating and they don't have humans. Let's have a scientific conversation. That's a Senate paper, by the way, based on a scientific science, and it's not me making up stuff. It's bipartisan. Let's have a scientific conversation, please. With that said, Tigran Gambaryan, are you familiar with him?
The
hostage in Nigeria. I'm going to call him a hostage because
yes.
He was arrested after being lured there based on basically representing an organization, Binance. He's a guy who used to work for the IRS, has prosecuted a case, a super honest guy, a constituent of mine.
Yeah.
He's being treated totally unfairly. He hasn't been given the rights that they guarantee him by their own constitution, by their own laws. He has problems getting access to a lawyer, problem access to his health care. My question is this. Based on the establishment of the Levinson Act, he meets at least 7 of 11 points to determine wrongful detainment. Why is the State Department leadership not elevating Tigran's case to the Office of the Special Presidency Envoy for Hostage Affairs? Now, I've asked this several times to several people. Nobody can give me an answer when he meets the criteria.
Yeah. So let me say it's a subject of real concern. I personally, on my trip to Nigeria, raised it with the leadership, and we very much want to get it resolved. And I think it is a subject of real concern, so I agree with you. As you know, their government has concerns about Binance, so do we. But
why isn't this getting elevated? He meets the criteria.
Well, it's been elevated in attention in the U.S. government, and I think we've tried to address it. We're going to continue until we get a resolution.
Everybody gives me the same answer. In other words, they don't know because he meets the criteria, but it has not been elevated to the Office of the Special Presidency Envoy for Hostage Affairs, which would help him. I want to help him. You want to help him. Everybody says they're concerned, but nobody wants to do what they can do to help him, which is that next step. I think we should be pressing for it. That's what I'm doing right now with you in front of everybody, just so we know. Last point, and I only have a few seconds to do this, but basically, Secretary Blinken and yourself reported that China's massive trade in dual-use technologies has made machine tools and semiconductors that reconstitutes Russia's defense capabilities. Given this, Many of these technologies are subject to U.S. export laws. If destined for Russia or Belarus, why has the administration not imposed significant consequences like sanctions on Chinese banks and firms that are doing exactly that? And by the way, if the president lacks insufficient authority, I'd urge you to take a look at my bill, H.R. 8361, the Economic Espionage Prevention Act, which the House passed last week, and work with me to get it signed into law so he has the teeth to take care of this very important strategic issue.
Look, I share your concerns about what we're seeing between China and Russia. I talked to extensively, Congressman, earlier about the worries about their support for the defense industrial base. We have targeted a large number of their firms. We've put many of their financial institutions on watch. The reason that I was in Europe last week, for this to be effective, needs to be multifaceted. We've got to have Europeans with us. I think we're beginning to make headway, but I must say I take back what you've just mentioned. I think the indication from this committee is an expectation that we do more.
And it's not about concern, it's about action. Let's do it. Let's stop being concerned and let's start getting things done. That's what we're here for. Thank you. With that, I yield.